Someone needs to say this out loud. A journalist called Tom Sykes, the man behind one of the most respected royal insider newsletters in the world, wrote something last week. He wrote something that the entire British press refused to touch. He said this: "What is really going on here is the thing they cannot tell you. Power is bleeding from King Charles to Prince William because Charles is dying." He published it publicly, and the British press went completely silent. No deniale, no rebuttal, no interview with a palasaur saying that is outrageous, just silence. And yesterday, King Charles himself was at a garden party at Buckingham Palace. A wheelchair-bound guest asked him how he was doing. He paused. He gave a small smile, and he said, "I am okay. I totter along. That is a king." Describing himself as tottering along. So today we are going to go through everything: the cancer timeline, the secret treatment nobody explained properly, the moment Harry said something on live TV that froze the room, and the journalist's claim that is either the most irresponsible thing ever published or the truest. You tell me which. By the end, the official story began in early 2024 with a message of privacy, but the discrepancies between the London clinic and the reality were stark. Advanced immunotherapy and RNA treatments were mentioned in hushed tones. Science at the frontier, used for a king fighting an invisible battle.
Good morning, sir. Scissors or whatever, and what's called haptic feedback, so you can one can actually feel, and there's a little dial up. Once you put your head in it, you get the 3D view. So at the moment, with this new system, although this is not completely licensed in the UK, they're about to launch it on this, you can actually feel control to do it. And if you gently just start moving your hands a little bit, you have to put your head in enough for it to know that you're driving, which is a safety feature. Now wiggle your fingers a little bit.
By March, the atmosphere changed. An ambulance was seen moving quietly through the palace grounds at night, a minor bump in the road, they claimed. But the video message of December 2025 showed a man who was weary, recovered, perhaps, but the weight of the crown was becoming physical. Is it the public's right to know the full truth? Or does the king deserve the same medical privacy as any other citizen? Then came Prince Harry. His interview in the United States was a bombshell of silence. He avoided the direct questions, but his eyes said enough.
I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. And as I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile. As I learned through the First Nations throughout Canada, because of the Invictus Games, their goal in life was always truth and reconciliation. And I turned around to them in many conversations and I said, right, but reconciliation can't come without truth. Well, I've now found out the truth. I've shared some of it with you today. A lot of it exists out there, whether people choose to ignore it or not. So it would be nice to have that reconciliation part now. If they don't want that, that's entirely up to them.
The word silence began to haunt the palace, especially during the 2026 state visit to Washington, a moment of historic gravity.
Recently commented, Mr. President, that if it were not for the United States, European countries would be speaking German. Dare I say that if it wasn't for us, we'd be speaking French. It's not hard to see how important the relationship remains in matters both seen and unseen. My mother's first Prime Minister, Sir Winston Churchill, understood this so well. Indeed, such was the closeness that Sir Winston, while staying here in the White House, in those rooms you showed us upstairs, emerged naked from the bathtub to discover the door opening as President Roosevelt came in for a chat. With rapier wit, the President cast aside any embarrassment by declaring that the Prime Minister has nothing to conceal from the President of the United States. We meet in times of great uncertainty, in times of conflict from Europe to the Middle East, which pose immense challenges for the international community and whose impact is felt in communities the length and breadth of our own countries. We meet too in the aftermath of the incident not far from this great building that sought to harm the leadership of your nation and to foment wider fear and discord. Let me say with unshakable resolve, such acts of violence will never succeed.
Addressing Congress, the king echoed his father's 1939 visit. But the context was different. This felt like a farewell tour. The motorcade through the streets of D.C. was a display of power, yet the king's own words about tottering along resonated louder than the sirens. In his absence, Prince William has taken the lead, meeting foreign dignitaries, managing state functions, and appearing more like a king every day.
The Labour government is shutting down the lab. The experiment is over. We will deliver what you've asked for time and again, and we will take back control of our borders. And let me tell you why. Because I know, on a day like today, people who like politics will try to make this all about politics, about this or that strategy, targeting these voters, responding to that party. No. I'm doing this because it is right, because it is fair, and because it is what I believe in. Let me put it this way. Nations depend on rules, fair rules. Sometimes they're written down, often they're not. But either way, they give shape to our values, guide us towards our rights, of course, but also our responsibilities, the obligations we owe to each other. Now, in a diverse nation like ours, and I celebrate that, these rules become even more important. Without them, we risk becoming an island of strangers, not a nation that walks forward together. So when you have an immigration system that seems almost designed to permit abuse, that encourages some businesses to bring in lower paid workers rather than invest in our young people, or simply one that is sold by politicians to the British people on an entirely false premise, then you're not championing growth. You're not championing justice, or however else people defend the status quo. You're actually contributing to the forces that are slowly pulling our country apart. So yes, I believe in this. I believe we need to reduce immigration significantly. That's why some of the policies in this white paper go back nearly 3 years. Why I told the Labour Party conference, taking back control is a Labour argument. And why, most importantly of all, inward migration is already falling with this government. It's about fairness. And look, I mean, migration is part of Britain's national story. We talked last week about the great...
At Sandringham, the hierarchy is shifting. The absence of certain family members is noted. The inner circle is tightening as the succession proceeds quietly. The return of the prodigal son. Harry and Meghan's potential involvement. In the transition comes with a list of demands and complex negotiations. A hospital visit, a frail smile, a shadow of a quote, and a prince stepping into the light. The pieces of the puzzle are all here. Power is bleeding away, just as the insider suggested. The quiet transfer is nearly complete. Subscribe for more investigative deep dives. Check out our next videos on Prince William's rise and the truth behind Harry's return.